How you guys doing? This is George Ohan, Fulton Film Company producer. I have a very special treat for you guys here today, Miss Jessica, and she is here. I'm going to read this off here. The set, How to Survive on Set, the Set Production Assistant's Guidebook. If she came to me first, this title would be shorter, but so what? It's a beautiful book. She's a beautiful woman with a beautiful soul trying to help people and talk to us about why did this book need to have a life? Jess, tell us.
I wrote it because, when I was a PA, I figured out pretty quickly that I wanted to be an AD. And that seemed to be kind of an exclusive club. And I wasn't quite sure how to get in. I wanted to be there. I wanted to learn, but I didn't really have anything backing me up other than some enthusiasm and a willingness to watch what was happening and try to learn from it. And that's a really hard way to come up. And I think it's kind of traditional for ADs to come up that way. And I think it works. We've all become who we've become and we have our careers. However, starting out, I think if there had been something to make me a little bit aware of the lingo and etiquette and some documents that I might be asked to do that I've never even heard of. If
That's
I had
a good
been
point. Let me stop you there. The documents thing. Somebody mentions an Exhibit G, and you talk
yeah.
about this in your book.
Yeah, I mean, that's something every second AD uses on every set every day. It's the actor's time card for every, union production. It's something that if you're a base camp PA, you're going to come into contact with. Maybe if you're a first team PA, you're going to come into contact with that. And I think it's important that as a PA, you get exposed to those things so that you're not becoming an AD and trying to learn those ropes. I think it's really important that they start learning it as a PA so that as an AD you can be proficient and you can teach well. And there's some stuff out there online that gives you some insight onto things as a PA, but there was nothing that was comprehensive, and I felt like there was something that needed to pull all of these little tidbits that were out there and useful and put them all together. So someone who says, I want to be an AD, what could I do, can pick something up and kind of have something to look at and even anticipate what your jobs might be. When I started, I didn't know that there was a PA in charge of radios and that someday that might be me.
What were some of the fundamental things that you do often as a production assistant that maybe the ADs who are now working they didn't do just because of how things change?
As much as set is fluid, I think there's a lot of stuff that it's like, we've been doing it the same since Gone with the Wind,
Okay.
I know there's certain things like, the way that we deal with paperwork and stuff that's changed. But I think in general, like this stuff has been passed down. That's how we get it. Some AD taught another PA who became an AD who taught another PA and so on. And so I think that a lot of it is really kind of standard. What I tried to put in the book was the standard stuff, the stuff that doesn't change from time to time, like,
Okay.
Obviously talking about texting. Before texting, everything was a radio. That's a whole new level of communication that we're able to utilize on set. But it's like, balancing that with not being seen on your phone or not being seen as someone who's sitting on their phone, even trying to teach PAs how to wisely use a group chat and how to, maybe step away for a moment if you have to be sitting there for a moment on it because it makes you look bad. If you're just sitting on your phone, little things like that really make a difference for people that I just think, maybe your first time on set, you don't think about it. You're in a lockup in Timbuktu and you've been there for 6 hours and you're asking people not to cross the street, and between takes you look at your phone. It's really tempting. And if you're not told not to do it, it might be something that you fall into because it's such a habit for us to look at our phones. You
Mm-hmm.
know, little things like that, though, make the difference between someone who I notice is paying attention and on point and who I think might be worth investing in and teaching, as opposed to someone who's sitting in the corner like scrolling through their phone.
So that's a great point. As a mentor, the mentors are looking for a mentee. They're looking for somebody who's going to earn that time. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think especially within the AD department, because PAs, you know, and part of why I wrote this book is because not a lot uh, of credit is given to the PAs who want to become ADs. You know, PAs can have any route in mind. They could want to go to camera, they could want to go to electric, they could want to be a DP, hair, makeup, whatever it may be. That might not be their ultimate goal to be part of our department long term. But when we see someone who potentially might want that, or who might seem gifted or like they might excel in our department, we definitely look at those people and we try to bring them in, because, you know, being an assistant director is not something that's very flashy or talked about very
It's not a
often.
glamorous job. It's a thankless business.
It is, yeah. And most people, when I say I'm an assistant director, they're like, so what do you do?
Yeah, like what? Yeah, what is that? Exactly. No, but you're right. Being a production assistant includes many responsibilities and really is the glue that holds the set together. And then to be the AD, you're going from a PA to another really difficult job, which is that AD department. And so whether it's a second, a second AD, first AD, any of that whole, lineage there, it takes a special person. What type of person does it take? What type of characteristics, personality, like what type of person excels in that department?
I definitely think that you got to have a voice. You got to be, you know, a little bit alpha to roll with the AD department. You know, we don't typically typically the mousy folks, we encourage them to be louder. Uh, and you know, there's things I talk about in the book, like, you know, as a production assistant, one of the best things you can do is get to know everybody on set, get to know their names, and just be a nice, helpful person who sometimes brings them coffee or offers them water. And like, those little things that you do as a PA actually build you up to being an AD, because as an AD, you are the great communicator. And if you can't get along with everybody, you're going to have a problem. And you know, PAing is a really good way to exercise patience and work on your ability to work with any type of person in any type of environment. And I think it's really small stuff that we look for that sets someone apart, you know, that we think might want to be an AD. And I think it's things like, you know, someone who takes the initiative to want to, you know, learn everybody's names, or who wants to go and make sure that the trash is picked up at holding or whatever it may be. You know, I talk about in the book, it's really easy to shine as a PA if you're just paying attention and doing what you should do and not getting in the way.
Mm-hmm.
um, so it's a lot of just little things that people don't teach you, people don't tell you until you've done something wrong or you've annoyed someone.
Now, let me ask you, Jessica. That was fantastic. You have to be a great communicator, so communication is important. Patience and having initiative. I love that. And so, is it a good idea for a production assistant or somebody who's trying to get into the AD department to be pitching their feature film to the people in the AD department?
um, I don't think as a PA you should ever really be, you know, pitching your script, pitching your ideas, as,
Oh,
you know,
really?
as enticing as that may be. You know, I think you at least want to be there for a moment. And, you know, once you created a rapport with someone, I think you can bring that up. If it's your first day on set, do I think you should walk up to the DP and tell him about your movie idea? Probably not, you know. But,
Good
you know, like
advice.
I, you know, I swear when I tell you that I've seen a PA walk up to a DP and ask him his job, and the DP replied, "I'm the DP," and the PA said, "Oh, cool. So like, what do you do?"
Oh Lord.
Like,
Oh no, wrong answer.
and that was one of those kids who definitely was all about his independent movies and stuff. And it was just kind of like, oh, that was not it. Like,
Who's your
you could,
friend? Who's your
um,
friend back there?
oh, this is Jolene.
Hi, Jolene.
He has to be part of everything.
Cute.
She got rescued about 2 months ago.
Oh, that's sweet. Look how she looks at you lovingly.
She constantly, constantly. It's
It's
like
like
having a
just with
stalker. Yeah,
admiration. Poor thing.
yeah,
It's so cute.
yeah. I go
Oh,
nowhere without her. She makes
do,
sure of it.
so let me ask you, are you allowed to bring your pets to a film set? Is that acceptable? Is that normal? You're like, hey, I got my pet spider with me. Is that cool if I bring him on?
In general, no. It's actually been a problem for me in the past when we've had dogs in the film and people bring their dogs to set. There are people who, like, you might see a hair or makeup artist who has a small dog and they keep their dog in their trailer. It's different for them. A department head who wants to keep their dog in their trailer, that's kind of acceptable. However, if you're just part of the crew and you want to bring your dog along, you may need to consider things like, do we have a talent dog on set that day? And might it upset the talent dog for my dog to be there that day?
Hmm.
It's something that things can seem very, very harmless. Like, I just wanted to bring my dog because everybody loves my dog. And it's like, yes, but today that was not so good
Hmm.
because one of our talent happens to be four-legged and, he likes his space.
Who should check out your book? Who should really like this should be a Bible for a little while? Who needs this book?
I think anybody who wants to learn the staff PA positions a little bit better. When you're starting, you're usually what's called an additional set PA, which is when you're the extra hands. That is kind of the person that we delegate to get coffee and things like that. Or they're the person that, they do lockups down the street when we're doing stunts and things like that. When we need more help, those are the people we get. And the staff PAs are the ones that are with you run of show. And those are the ones that really have responsibilities. There's typically the key PA, the background PA, the walkie distro PA, the base camp PA, and the first team PA. And they all have very different, very specific jobs that, you know, people don't always like to admit that, PAs are important. PAs do have an important job to do. And if our background's late to set, that could cost money. That could cost a lot of time. That could cost us light. It could be disastrous. And that's all in the hands of a PA to get those people ready, to get those people paid for that day, to
Wow.
do all of the paperwork. And so I wanted to do something for the people who, like me, might get hired for a position that they've never had before and just want someone to tell them what to maybe expect or something they can do to succeed. um, I think anybody who really wants to learn more about why we do the things we do to keep set moving, that's who it's for.
That's amazing, and seriously, thank you. I'm an independent producer. I don't work on a lot of SAG, a lot of union projects, and as an indie producer, I have a feature going on right now. I have a film festival. I've got all this, just a lot of cool things going on, but it's not always dealing with the top level union contracts and all this stuff. So to know there's like a champion out here who's going to bat for the little guy, the little girl, like the new filmmaker. It's like, look, you want to do good? Cool. Here's a little rule book. This should help you do good if you really want to do the right things. And it's not a film school. It's not a whatever. It's like, no, dude, you need to know these like 30 things, get it together, do these 30 things, and you're going to be all right. And so
Yeah.
I love it. I just love like what you've done here. It's so cool. Tell me a little bit about like, what was a fun experience or a fun set that you worked on as a PA and maybe like that kind of inspired you to transition into the AD world or something like that?
Oh, I mean, definitely. There was a time when I was an additional PA on some TV shows in Chicago, like Chicago PD and Empire, and getting to work at that caliber and see how things were done as a PA. I was introduced at a level that I just had to kind of compete at a different caliber than kids maybe PAing for you know a small indie film. I just had to learn a little faster and be a little better. And I think that that made a huge difference and kind of made me want to go into ADing because once I got into it, I felt that I was, good at it. And I just kind of fell into this niche that I really liked. And, uh, definitely those shows and those ADs and seeing how they ran a set, like a show like Chicago PD that's running for years and just works like clockwork, you're like that, okay, that's what I want to do. I want to run a set like that. I want us to company move that fast. I want us to wrap on time. Like I want to be the one who wraps that day on time. And, it's a pretty good feeling when you can get, a couple hundred people to meet a goal on time.
Why do you get pride from that? Why do you get a fulfillment from that?
I like being the one that helps all the creatives bring it to screen. I could never imagine myself being a DP or a costume designer or anything like that, but I love movies and I wanted to work in film and didn't really see a spot for myself because in my head what film was what I see on TV. It's cameras, it's directors, it's actors, and I didn't think any of those things really fit me, or that those would be things that I could really be the best at. And getting to do something where I handled the logistics and scheduling, stuff that was much more in my wheelhouse. I just found that I got to kind of revisit my love for film. I decided not to go to college for film. I decided to do something else because I didn't know if that could be a path for me. And those shows are the ones that, made me want to be an AD. I did not walk on set as a PA wanting to be an AD. I didn't even know what they did. So I think, if I had told myself then that like, in a couple years you might be doing this, I'm not sure I would have, believed that.
Sounds like you had really good leadership, you had really good mentors, you had at least people who set the example. I feel like just by them doing the right thing, you were soaking it up and it was enough to inspire you. I mean, when you see somebody work and that inspires you to want to level up, that's leadership right there as far as I'm concerned. And whoever those people were, they've now created another leader in you, and you're now leading the pack. I love that. So yeah, success breeds success. I'm really happy that you got to come across the people on Chicago PD, or work in Chicago with all those people that you did work with, uh, because it took somebody who was just maybe not had the full confidence in themselves as a filmmaker. And when you saw that, a whole nother thing was born. And I could see that here. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's so cool.
Yeah, like I definitely just kind of decided like it wasn't for me. I didn't really see myself in any of those roles. When I talked to other film students and the way they talked about cinematography, I didn't understand it. I
You were
didn't
not
feel how.
connecting.
No, and I have friends that love it that much, and I thought, well, if you love it that much, you should do it, and I should find what I love that much.
Hmm.
And I happened to find it through being a PA.
Yeah. No, that's really great. I work with this young lady. Her name's Jade. She helped us out on the Financial Literacy Film Festival, and she was a production assistant. And she walked on set, and she's just like boss lady. And it's like, who are you? Like, are you the director? And she's like, no, I'm PA. And you're like, nice to meet you. And you still like squared up your shoulders, like, hey, how you doing? But she's like, I love being a PA. You get to talk to everyone. You make sure everything happens. It gets done. Boom, boom. I'm like, welcome home, Sergeant. Like, I was in the Army for 8 years. So when I saw her, I was like, oh yeah, like I want to work with you. You know who's got it. You know who's got it. You know who wants it, maybe. Let me put it that way. If there's two things I cannot do as a leader, I cannot teach you heart and I cannot teach you desire. I can't give you that passion. I can't make you want it. And when somebody's got that fire, it's easily noticeable to me. And I want to work with those types of people again. So what
Yeah.
do you say to that as far as somebody's motivation level or initiative level when the leadership is scoping out, like you said, there's competition on the set now. You can just not be invited back, right?
Yeah, I mean, especially the bigger shows, you're competing with PAs who are DGA assistant directors who are willing to work as a PA on that movie. That's
Wow.
pretty big competition. And
Wow.
you have to, shine enough as a PA to get on that movie if that's what you want. And you can. And for me, I would rather hire someone who wants to become DGA on a movie like that than someone who already is. Because, we got our goal. We got in, I'd way rather give that opportunity to someone who, wants to be an AD. And it's like I tell my PAs, I'm like, as soon as you tell me you want to be an AD, I'm going to be harder on you. Like, I'm going to expect more from you. And I'm going to I will make you a really good AD, but you might have some not fun times.
But you got to go see Sergeant Jessica to get through this boot camp. That's the next book. That's the next book, is the PA boot camp.
PA boot camp.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to have to link you up with Mark August, the PA 101 workshop, and you guys can collaborate for sure. That would be great. This is really cool. Thank you for doing this. Tell me, if you had to give a few words of advice, some couple of gems, couple nuggets to somebody getting into filmmaking, but specifically on a track that they want to be in the union, they want to be in the DGA, they want to be in the Directors Guild of America, what should they do? What are some things they should do?
The first one I would say is show up if you get the opportunity.
Ooh, show up? That's too good. It's like, it's too easy, right?
You would think, but there are kids that I've had begging me for a spot, and as soon as I give it to them on a big day where I really need, 20 people, they call out on me.
Yep.
And it's like, all right, you seemed really hungry as much as you emailed and texted me and Facebook messaged me about wanting to be a PA. And then when I gave you the job, something interfered. I say in my book, it's way better to thank someone for thinking of you and give them your schedule if you cannot do a job than to try to take it and get out of your class and then end up missing the gig. It's way better to just give them your schedule, thank them, express your interest, and, wait for next time. Don't, it's a big turnoff, when you give somebody an opportunity and they don't take it. So, pretty much when that happens with me, it's going to take, some desperation on my end for me to reach out to you again.
Yeah, there's not a blacklist, but there is this. When I see your name, my finger doesn't push send for some reason. My finger doesn't allow me to message you anymore. I don't know why.
Yeah, and people get very surprised by that. And, I just, I beg them to remember that there's competition, and if your competition showed up, they won. So.
Wow, that's deep. That's deep, and that's real. And thank you for that. You're just keeping it truthful. You're keeping it fair. And this is a business that you're in. And by the way, you're in a very competitive business. So if you think this is just hippy dippy, nilly willy, it's really not. You're in competition with people from all over the world. They show up from Brazil, from China, from Italy, and they're working. They're trying to get your job, and they're pretty good filmmakers. They're not here to take an American job. They're here to create. So you got to want it as bad as they do.
Yeah, I got the opportunity to AD a movie in Europe, and I ended up bringing some American PAs, and it turns out the locals were just hungrier. And if I were to go back, I'm not sure I would have I would have picked some of the same people, but not all of the same people, because I felt like there was a hubris in being chosen that maybe showed through a little bit in their actions. And
Wow.
People can be unimpressed even if you've been impressive in the past.
So show up, but then show up every time.
Yeah, show up and then be on time is my other biggest thing. Like, if it's my first time meeting you and you're late, you're not making a good spot on my list. I understand it happens. plan to be there a half hour before your call time if you're someone who tends to be late.
Mm-hmm.
You know, figure out a way. I talk about it in the book. You know, it's on you to figure out how to get to where you're supposed to be at the time you're supposed to be there. There's people who can figure it out. You got to be on that level. You got to look at the map. You got to, you know, take some initiative. You know, my PAs hate when I tell them to check the call sheet because they've asked me for something I wrote down for them, and I
It's
want
on
them
the
to
call sheet. Check. Like, why am I telling you? You have enough time to contact me. Check the sheet.
And it's like, I'm not doing that to be mean. I'm doing that so that you know where the information is every time. If you need that same information
Great point.
tomorrow, it's on the same spot on the call sheet. You know, I'm trying to teach you how to not need me, because you need to not need me. You need to be a little bit independent and be able to run your own show so that someday you can be an AD. You know, if you can't handle, you know, if I find actors wandering down the road with no one attending to them, that's a problem. I'm going to have questions, you know, and, you know, as even if you're experienced and stuff, I think people got to remember that, you know, there's always someone who wants it. There's always someone who might be a little bit hungrier. So like you said, when you do need to show up, and you need to show up 100% every time.
That's really, really sound advice. And if you're a production assistant out here, even if you're a producer out here, I'm a producer and I'm learning right now. I can learn again. And so what if I learn this stuff at UCLA or at the LA Film School or wherever in Hollywood and LA where I learned it? So it's good to hear it again. And it's good to hear from Boss Lady who has excused people from a set. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. I need to be, when I'm speaking with PAs and they don't sound like Jessica, I'm going to know that's a problem because she's telling me this is what a PA should sound like. So it's really, really important that I think this book and just the information is important, but just being professional, no matter who you are and who you're with. Let's talk about the call sheet. You had mentioned that. Is it okay if a PA gets the phone number, the cell phone number of the first AD, and he's like, hey, where's the location? Starts just immediately texting people from the call sheet. Is that a cool thing?
Nope. I would always recommend texting whoever hired you. It's
Okay, good point.
probably not, you know, like my phone number is on every call sheet, and boy, do some people feel emboldened to use it for any question that may cross their mind. And
do you like red or blue?
or you know, just an address that is available to them. But you know, I'm trying to think where I was going with that.
Well, just don't text people off the call sheet.
Yeah, I mean, always refer back to whoever
Who
hired you on.
Gotcha.
They should be proficient enough to give you the information. If they're not, you should probably be worried, you know.
Show us your book or the copy there though. What do you got? Let's see it. Is it the
Yeah,
cover?
this is one of the proofs, but
Oh, that's
this is it.
awesome.
It's pretty. It ended up
Whoa, that's a lot of
thicker than
pages.
yeah.
How many
And
pages was it?
content, I think it's 112.
Wow, congratulations. That's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah,
That's
and
really great.
I definitely did not anticipate it to be as long as it was. When I got the first proof, I was actually surprised at how thick it was. And I posted to my PAs, you know.
And you wrote this while in quarantine for COVID-19?
So I expanded on it. When I was a PA, I had this Word document that I had been writing that was just things not to get yelled at about again. Things I learned today.
Wow, that's great.
And I just wrote things down because, you know, when I was an additional PA at first, my work wasn't consistent. So I wasn't always there. So when I got some sort of nugget, I would try to write it down. Or if somebody took the time to teach me how to group background vouchers, I wrote down some information about that. And
Cool.
it was always just for me. But when I became an AD, I started sending it to my PAs. And right before quarantine, someone read it and said that I should add a vocab section. And I started adding vocab to it. And had many months off, and it became the book.
Fantastic. I love that story. It's a true story of resilience, of creativity. And you say you're not a creative person, but you truly are. In how you use what you have. You use who you are. You don't try to change who you are. You don't try to be somebody you're not. You know what your strengths are, and you've taken that, and you're okay with being a number 2 or a number 3 or a number 4 person who still really has a lot of responsibility and gets things done and holds the ship together. It's amazing that some people maybe they won't see that opportunity the way you've seen it, but not only did you see that opportunity, you seized the day and you took complete, you've blown this thing out of the water. I'm highly impressed with everything you've done. I'm going to share this with all of our filmmaker friends from LA to Fresno to Puerto Rico to Africa. I mean, we have plenty of filmmaker friends all over Asia. This will be a worldwide thing that will, at least people will know about it. So thank you. Thank you for doing what you've done. Really, really do appreciate this.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for talking to me about the book. Thanks for, supporting PAs in filmmaking.
Oh, for sure. I'm always recruiting and training because I'm like, dude, I need more people to help make these movies. It's hard to make a movie alone.
It really is, and it's
so hard.
even if you have help, you need the right help.
Nugget.
Some hands are not better than no hands, and
wow. I hope you guys rewind that, listen to it again. Jessica, you're a beast. Thank you so much. Thank you. We appreciate you. We'll talk more, okay?
All right, sounds good.
Great day. Bye.